Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Adorable treasured fox divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Author by Co Chi Yi. Audio novels by Novelist. Chapter 231, Against a Common Enemy. Auntie Xuanhuan, wouldn't baddie father be sad if you say it like that? From those blinking eyes, a hint of compassion could be seen in the little steam bun's face. As if he would, Xuanhuan refutes the claim outright. My old bro always say I'm annoying and stupid. Not only that, he would always go on and on about marrying me off early so he won't have to deal with me so often. As if I would want to see him. No way. State teacher is so much kinder than he is. In honest truth, Xuanhuan really don't know what sort of sins she's committed to have such a brother. For that reason alone, she's been suppressed for many years under that tyrannical rule. Little Xuanhuan, let's go home, your mother is waiting for us. Ignoring the conversation, Chuyi, Holy Land Princess led the way by holding the baby boy's hand. Naturally, Xuanhuan wouldn't just ignore this and continued to follow them from behind in silence. Why are you following me? Chuyi shot her head around to glare at the unwanted tagger. Of course, to go home. She pricked her brow, unsure why the need for the question. Now it's Chuyi's turn to be stumped. She really didn't know whether to be angry or to laugh. That is our home. Your home is over at the Kang Manor. I will have someone send you over there. Bayan is my sister-in-law and Xuanhuan is my nephew, so of course their home is my home. How can I be a hinder to you when I'm going home? No other way. That's what happens when Xuanhuan was her nephew. Just that connection alone gives her the right to tag along. This. Unable to grasp onto the situation, Lan Xiaoyan girl cousin weakly chimed in, weren't we doing very well just now, why are you two quarreling all of a sudden? These two were clearly doing so well, why are they trending towards an open brawl? That's what happens when she tries to snatch away my nephew. Xuanhuan stabs her fists against her hip to emphasize her point. My little nephew is mine, as well as my sister-in-law. I won't give either of them up to you. Ho ho, you want to fight, eh? Alright, come on, let's go. Chuyi has had it now. Letting go of the baby boy's hand, she knocks her chin up in preparation for the fight. It's likely safe to assume the most clueless one here had to be Lan Xiaoyan. Scratching her head anxiously, the girl's eyes suddenly lit up at an idea. Yi, Miss Xuanhuan, there's been no shortages of people talking behind my cousin's back while she was away during all these years. In a blink of an eye, the two raging lionesses were longer glaring at each other. Instead, their eyes were solely focused on the poor girl who only wanted to help. Xuanhuan, tell me, who are the people talking behind Bayan's back? I'll go after them. Those thugs sure are bold to talk ill of my nephew and sister-in-law. Their angry voices were nearly in sync, causing a resonance effect across the street. Smiling right up to her eyes, Lan Xiaoyan was very pleased with this reaction. This wasn't all of it. Right after they learned of little Xuanhuan's existence, they also started to talk ill about Lord Kang and that he's taking care of another man's child. I've already compiled a list for us to get 'em back one at a time. The first one, let's start with that sixth princess of the royal family. She not only mocked my cousin behind her back, she even bullied little Xuanhuan and attempted to set the Kang Manor ablaze. We should make an example of her for starters. Bringing out the list she's been keeping on her at all times, Lan Xiaoyan was very proactive when it came to these sort of things. Let's go. We'll go find those bitches to settle the score. Pulling up her sleeve, Xuanhuan was showing off the perfect image of someone ready for a fight. Nodding in approval, Chuyi was the same in every way. Lead the way, Xuanhuan, we are going to pay them back in full force today. Seeing how easily these two are joining up for the task, the confused girl can finally exhale a sigh of relief. In her view, the main priority was to stop their heated bickering before it devolves into something serious. As for that sixth princess, the girl can only consider herself unlucky. Sister Chu, Auntie Xuanhuan, we. Bai Xuanhuan had wanted to say they should return home first, but before he could, the raging figures had already disappeared like wind and fire. And thus, a flabbergasted child was left behind without his consent. Chapter 232, My Brother is Dai Kang. The princess's home. While hundreds of blooming flowers adorned this wondrous garden, it was so horribly tarnished by a girl so filled with hatred that she would destroy this scenic picture by plucking the flowers one at a time to satiate her anger. Since the day when she was framed for no reason of setting Dai Kang's home ablaze, the sixth princess had no choice but to go kneel in front of the Kang manor at her father's order. Contrary to getting the forgiveness like she expected, she got done in by a flaming bird instead and nearly had her entire arm ripped off by the bite. By the time she woke up again after fainting away, the princess was already back at her home. Lord Kang is so cruel. At the very least I'm still considered a beauty, why would he ignore me at every turn? The princess just can't accept the fact that she's losing out to Bai Yan, so she's venting her steam on the poor flowers. It was then at this moment a light chuckle came from behind, startling the princess greatly. In a hurry, she turned around to find Lan Xiaoyun in her blue dress standing there. And beside the girl were two angry maidens glaring daggers at herself. Lan Xiaoyun, what are you doing here? The princess viciously asked. She's afraid of making a move against Bai Yan because of Dai Kang's might, but that doesn't necessarily apply to Lan Xiaoyun. I heard you want to seduce my brother. And also bullied my nephew. Dai Xuanhuan, Dai Kang's sister, proudly knocked her chin up as she looked down in disdain at this mortal princess. You. Who is your brother? My brother is Dai Kang. Once that's said, the demon princess didn't give her foe another chance to reply. In swift uppercut, she sends the mortal girl flying up into the air like a lightning bolt. Sadly for the sixth princess, things didn't end there. There's still Chu Yi's flying upper kick to knock her even higher into the crystal blue sky. Popping her eyes in surprise, Lan Xiaoyun only had sympathy for the sixth princess who wouldn't come down anymore. Ellipsis. On this day, the entire Lu Huo kingdom was doomed to be unsettling to the point where fear would run rampant. One Chu Yi would already be enough to flip the entire kingdom upside down, add in another Dai Xuanhuan, it'd be a miracle if there's anything left by the end of it. At this moment, Bai Yan was still unaware of the chaos quickly ensuing outside her home as a result of her task of refining some medicine for the sickly Bai Zhanpeng. This the pill I was telling you about. Walking out of the cauldron room, Bai Yan casually placed the bottle in front of the sickly man. There are a total of 100 pills inside, more than to remedy that body of yours. As for the extra in my possession, consider it your payment to me. The excitement in Bai Zhanpeng's usually indifferent face cannot be hidden here. Carefully picking up the bottle containing his life-saving pills, his voice sounded somewhat hoarse due to the emotions running through his soul. Miss Bai, thank you. You really saved me this time. If you ever need my help in the future, I will answer your call no matter the circumstances. Bai Yan was definitely happy over the answer. It's fine. Aside from the batch I gave you, I also left a lot for myself. We're even. How can I do that? A life debt cannot be paid with some mere pills. Standing up, Miss Bai Yan, I feel like we are hitting it off very well. Why don't you call me Uncle Zhangpeng instead? How about it? Bai Yan became stunned there. Looking, you finally replied after seeing how earnest the man was. All right, Uncle Zhangpeng. Chapter 233, I only need to see her. A smile escapes the man. To Bai Zhanpeng's sickly man, the girl in front of him was no different from seeing his younger sister again from all those years ago. However wishful that may be, it cannot be true because his sister was already 20 that year when she disappeared. To say Bai Yan to be his niece was more fitting. Bai Yan, I will be staying in the city during this period. If there's anything you need, do come find us at the Dragon Phoenix Inn. Elder Gu, let us go now. Giving Bai Yan one last glance, Bai Zhanpeng didn't look back anymore as he strode towards the exit. Young master, you're almost fully recovered now. With the medicine in our hands, shouldn't we first return to the medicine sect? The elder was quick to suggest the idea after they were outside. Shaking his head before turning around, Bai Jianping was full of emotions when he looked at the old manor. How can I possibly do that? It's not easy to come across someone so similar to her, there's no way I can. My heart just can't bear to leave her, even if the girl only has her looks. Sighing, the old elder laments the cruelty of reality, but she is not your sister in the end. I know, the smile becomes a bittersweet one. Elder Gu, I only want to watch over her, that's all. That's all. I have no other wish, just seeing that face is enough. This way, I can at least fantasize her still being by our side and not like how things have turned out now. Facing the resolve in his young lord, Elder Gu had no choice but to give in. Then I will go ahead and write letter back to your father first. We should at least inform him. Very well, frowning, but I don't want you to tell him about Bai Yan yet. Why? Asked the elder in surprise. She has strong talent in alchemy, so I don't anyone to disturb her peace because of me. Now it made sense to this elder Gu. If it becomes known of how talented Bai Yan was, those old relics back at the medicine sect will no doubt subjugate the girl to a series of harassment. I understand then. Rest assured, young master, I will not let anyone know about this matter. Serious in his old face, the elder intends to use the safest possible method this time to transfer the letter back home. Let's go now. I will return home in half a month. Until then, we will stay here. Exhaling a sigh, Bai Jianping understands anything longer than that will raise the suspicion of his father. By then, Bai Yan's existence will be exposed. That's not the outcome he wants for anyone. Not for his father, and not for this girl who has the same face as his younger sister. Ellipsis. Back inside the old manor. After her patient had left the premise, Bai Yan originally wanted to return inside to continue her efforts in creating more pills. However, as soon as she turned around, she immediately took notice to her son's strange behavior of peeking out from behind the tree. Son, what are you doing? This voice greatly startled the little steam bun. Cautiously coming out of hiding, Bai Xiaocan appeared to be quite uncomfortable in front of his mother's presence. Mother. What's wrong? She wrinkled her brow, finding the demeanor of her son very strange. Biting her fingers, Bai Xiaocan's voice sounded very nervous. Mother, you must prepare yourself. What happened? Startled at first, Bai Yan continues to ask. Just now, Sister Yi and Auntie Xuanhuan went out to make trouble. I suspect there will be a lot of people coming over to find you in a bit. This time the list brought out by Lan Xuanhuan had contained basically the names of every noble lady in the royal capital, married or unmarried. If they really did get even with everyone, it's a given the whole city will be in an uproar. Although, Bai Xiaocan also believes that there was nothing wrong with their practice, but... Chapter 234, Sister-in-law, please take me in. Bai Yan's expression had gone dark. Your sister Yi, Holy Land's princess, brought your Auntie Xuanhuan, girl cousin, out to make trouble. Mother, this time you're wrong about Sister Yi. It's not her who's bringing Auntie Xuanhuan out to make trouble, it's Auntie Xuanhuan who's bringing Sister Yi out to make trouble. Making a pouty face with his mouth, Bai Xiaocan wasn't very happy in the tone that he's using. What's even more infuriating is that they didn't even bring me along. After all that, the little steam bun was only moping around because they left him behind. Talk about ridiculous. Towards her son's comment, Bai Yan's expression grew even darker. Knocking the kid on the head to show her displeasure, she continues, behave yourself. If there's anything else you must tell me, wait until I finish dealing with this mess first. Chu Yi never cares about whether or not she's right or wrong. To the girl, it only matters if she likes the person or not. For that reason, there's been no shortages of young talented individuals who had to suffer under her tyrannical rule within the Holy Land. But that's not necessarily the case for Lan Xuanhuan. If she's willing to lead the way with her personality, then there must be a reason. Oh right. Tilting his little head. Those eyes were innocent and clean. Mother, do you still remember those words Batty father said before he left? Yes, I remember. Bai Yan makes a faint nod. He said he's going to search for his little sister. The other thing I want to say is this, struggling in his baby tongue, auntie, she. Cousin. It was at this moment the joyous voice of Lan Xiaoyun drifted over from the outside, which also interrupted the mother and son's conversation. Looking up, Bai Yan only managed to catch a glimpse of that girl in the blue dress before she became overwhelmed by a speeding figure coming her way. Alarmed by the intrusion, she reflexively shot her leg out and slammed it directly into that rushing body. Against this scene, Lan Xiaoyun and Chu Yi were both flabbergasted. Watching their third partner shoot up into the sky and then coming back down to the ground in a sprawling position, they could hardly keep their jaws closed. Who are you? Bai Yan's face was darker than ever when she asked with that cold hard voice. Mother. Tugging at his mother's sleeve, Bai Xiaoyan was full of sympathy as he eyed the twitching girl on the ground. She is Auntie Xuanhuan. Auntie Xuanhuan. Bai Yan frowned. That's Baddie father's little sister. Popping her eyes in surprise, Bai Yan stared intently at the girl there. You are my son's auntie. Why would she be here with Chu Yi and Lan Xiaoyun? Dai Xuanhuan finally emerged from her dazed-like state after the question. Heavily shaking her head to pull herself together, she then climbs up to pat the dust off. Sister-in-law, puckering her lips into a frown, a layer of water could easily be seen filling those aggrieved eyes. You are so mean, I only wanted to give you a hug. How can you actually kick me? Twitching in the corner of her eye, Bai Yan also felt ashamed of her rashness there. Humph, I thought you were attacking me. Come on, anyone would react the same way if they see a stranger rushing over without a word. This can only be blamed on Dai Xuanhuan's carelessness of not giving a proper greeting. Sister-in-law, pitiful in her appearance, I'm homeless now, can you take me in? Your brother is looking for you everywhere, you should go find him. As soon as the news of her brother searching everywhere for her came to light, Dai Xuanhuan couldn't resist shivering a cold fright. Shrinking her neck in, she pleads again with that big smile, please sister-in-law, I left home without permission. If my brother catches me, he will surely kill me. I still think it's safer here, so pretty please, let me stay. Chapter 235, Are you sure you want to stay? Are you sure you want to stay? Bai Yan asks with an extra meaning in her eyes. Going bright, Dai Xuanhuan grew excited, can I really stay here? You are more than welcome to stay, however. I hope you won't regret it afterwards. Unbeknownst to the girl yet, Dai Kang had already beaten her to the goal of claiming a spot in this manner. By the time she discovers this truth, it would be already too late. Sister Yan, putting on a pouty face, Chu Yi, Holy Land Princess, sends a glare of unwillingness at the newcomer before turning back around. Are you really going to take this girl in? Dai Xuanhuan went cold at the question. Proudly raising her beautiful face up, she fires back, and why can't I stay? This is my nephew and sister-in-law's home, not your home. We don't need your input. Dai Xuanhuan, Demon Realm Princess, do you want to fight again? Chu Yi's face had become a rosy red due to anger. Let's fight then, as if I, Dai Xuanhuan, would fear someone like you. Even if the girl had always been oppressed by Dai Kang since young, but those elders in the demon realm and the state teacher himself would always dote her to the extreme. And so, that's why her character would be so surprisingly similar to Chu Yi's. They are two little princesses who are used to being doted and pampered by their peers. Boom. Just as the two were ready to go at it again, a heavy blow from the side suddenly pulled their attention back over. Quickly turning around, that's when they saw Bai Yan's fist leaving an imprint on the door frame. You two want to fight? All right, go outside and fight. But once you two are finished, there's no need to come back. Frosty and commanding in her voice, Bai Yan left no room to be rebuked here. Frightened to the point where they had to take a step back, the two didn't even have the nerve to breathe using that grieving face of theirs. You must follow my rules while in my place. Easing her tone after getting the intended reaction, Bai Yan was less intimidating, otherwise I will send the both of you away. Come my son, we're leaving. Hand in hand, Bai Yan pulls the little boy away with her for the backyard. Oh, that scared me. When the brilliant red figure was gone, Xuanhuan could finally gather herself again. No wonder my old bro is taking so long to conquer her. Such a powerful woman is no joke. This is already considered light already. Chu Yi's demeanor also relaxed somewhat. Years ago, back when I set her 3 shifers treasury ablaze, she merely had me tortured to death. That's scary. Xuanhuan couldn't even control the pounding in her heart at the news. Peering over to the girl, she suddenly got an unexpected feeling of kinship. You have my sympathy. Getting smart again, Chu Yi quickly follows up with another sentence. If you are sympathetic of me, why don't you give up and let Bai Yan be my sister-in-law? To hear this out of the blue statement, Xuanhuan's complexion instantly shot up into a cherry red. Dream on. Sister-in-law is so beautiful, I will never give her to you. Knowing the two are going to start quarreling again, Lan Xiaoyun's cousin suddenly came down with a wonderful idea due to urgency. Exclaiming in surprise like she meant it. Ah, cousin, why are you out here again? This tiny remark was enough to nearly stop their heartbeat. In her urgency, Xuanhuan suddenly stretched her arms out to hug her foe. Yi, I was just joking you before. I will never fight with you again. Chapter 236, The Righteous Xuanhuan. Twitching in the corner of her mouth, Chu Yi in the end decides to cooperate. I know a good restaurant around here, I will bring you over there tomorrow. Okay. Xuanhuan was like a blooming flower with that smile. Looking around for the familiar figure, she wanted to invite Bai Yan along too. Where's my sister-in-law? Empty. Not a soul in sight. Lan Xiaoyun tricked us. Chu Yi cried out. What? Exclaiming aloud on the spot, Xuanhuan initially wanted to get even right up to the point where she realizes there's not a single person left. Then do we still fight? Chu Yi asks while biting her lip. What's the point of fighting now? If sister-in-law really kicked me out, are you going to take me in instead? Giving her foe there an eyeful, Xuanhuan continues. Also, bring me to that restaurant tomorrow. You pay. I have no money. Xuanhuan was very righteous when she said this part. Though the girl had plenty of treasures in her storage bag, she lacked money. I'll consider myself unlucky then. Flushed red in her cheeks, Chu Yi was clearly annoyed by her foe's antics. I have never seen anyone act like this when asking to be treated. Hearing Chu Yi's willingness to treat her, Xuanhuan's attitude quickly took on a better tune. Since you are willing to treat me tomorrow, then I will forgive you for trying to steal my sister-in-law. Joking at the remark, Chu Yi now recognizes the girl as Daikang's sister. It was exactly like this on that fateful day when Daikang shameless clung onto Bai Yan and won't let go. Ellipsis. Back over at the study room, Hualuo Flower Brothel Head had only just arrived at the place. Mistress, is there something you need of me? Hualuo, go make a trip to Daikang's place. Tell him the person he's looking for is here already. Raising a brilliant smile, Bai Yan was strangely happy in her mood for some reason. Yes. Affirming with a bow, Hualuo was ready to leave when another order stopped her. Is there something else? Also mention to him that although his sister is wrong to leave home without permission, the fault lies not with her. He left her alone for years, it's only normal that she be lonely. If he causes trouble on my turf, then I will never let him take another step into this place again. Lying on the couch nearby, Bai Xiaokan was in the middle of playing with his tiger friend when he heard the order. Frowning, he became tired and sighed over on what to do. Should I tell mother that Auntie Xuanhuan isn't here to meet Batty Father? And that she specifically said it's irrelevant whether or not she meets Batty Father. I understand, mistress. Hualuo couldn't resist a giggle there. Don't assume just because her mistress here likes to scold others that she's mean, it's merely out of concern. Otherwise, why would she have this to say? After the charming woman left the study room, leaving only the baby boy and his mother alone, Bai Xiaokan quickly toddled over to Bai Yan's lap. Are you worried about Auntie Xuanhuan? It's not easy for a girl to come this far alone by herself. If she still get criticized after meeting him, what would she think then? Auntie Xuanhuan isn't doing it for Batty Father. Looking at that cute little face, Bai Yan reassuringly cuddled the boy's head. If not for him, then who? There has to be a reason why she would come all this way. Whenever I look at her, I would be reminded of your uncle. Did I not too leave Bai Xiao for many years? If compared together, Dai Xuanhuan has it even worse than my brother. Chapter 237, Trouble Comes Knocking. Chiakan, you go rest with little rice first while I go deal with something for tomorrow. Okay, mother. Tipping up with his toes, the baby boy gives his mother a quick peck on the cheek before dashing out the door with the baby tiger in his arms. Little Rice, let's not bother mother anymore, we can go play with Little Feather instead. Who is Little Feather? It's a white phoenix gifted to me by Auntie Xuanhuan. Since he has so much feathers on his body, I went ahead and named the bird Little Feather. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, Little Rice was very sympathetic of the bird. Then again, he suddenly realized his own name wasn't all that much better either. No matter how he looked at it, Little Feather was still better than Little Rice. Ellipsis. In the following next morning, Bai Yan was woken up by a loud ruckus from the main reception hall. Hualuo, what's happening outside? With a frown, she calls for her faithful follower who has been waiting outside the bedchamber for some time now. Mistress, it's nothing but a group of insignificant ants. I've already taken the liberty of throwing them out of the estate to avoid further disruption. Raising a smirk, Bai Yan wasn't surprised at all in her face. Is it the royal family members and other noble houses? I expected them to come find me sooner or later, just not so fast. Go let 'em in. Yes, mistress. Making a faint nod, the charming figure disappears from sight. Ellipsis. Back over at the main reception hall, a group of people was currently whispering and arguing away. It's pretty obvious they were angry and disgruntled here, which only got worse and amplified once Bai Yan arrives at the scene. Miss Bai Yan, I like to know what sort of fault my granddaughter did that your people had to go make trouble for her. And my poor daughter, she's already at the point where she can't get out of the bed. You must give us a proper explanation for this. That's right. You may be the owner of the flower brothel, but that doesn't excuse you from randomly assaulting others. If we don't get a proper answer, then things won't end here. Ignoring the rowdy comments shooting her way, Bai Yan first took her seat at the main master chair before speaking out using that indifferent tune of hers. It sure is lively today to have all of you come find me this morning. Though her words didn't carry with it a single threatening phrase, but that aura and fierce might was more than enough to intimidate everyone present. So this is the mistress of the flower brothel, Lord Kang's woman. Are we really able to retreat after coming here? Miss Bai Yan. From within the crowd, a middle-aged man was the first to step forward. Others may be afraid of you, but I Zhang Feiyang am not. You may be the owner of the flower brothel, but that doesn't give you the right to condone your subordinates in attacking innocent bystander. I believe I speak for everyone here today that unless we get a proper answer, none of us will stand idly by. Unmoved by the threat, Bai Yan's composure remains lazy and comfortable on that chair. And what sort of answer are you expecting of me? Your people beat my daughter, so at the very least some compensation should be in order. Some damn pill will be enough. How can they not extort such fine stuff from the woman? It's no secret among the nobility that the pills in Bai Xiao's possession are all from Bai Yan, making this the perfect opportunity. Especially when they are in the right. Chapter 238, Trouble Solving. Bai Yan finally understands what their intentions are now. Then are you trying blackmail me, Lord Zhang? Miss. There's no need to say it in such an ugly way. How can it be blackmailing when it's your people who's in the wrong first? Looking at that complacent look on the man, Bai Yan's smile only got deeper. It's possible to give you the damn pills, but I have another gift I like to give you also. Having said this, she readily hands a thin booklet over to Hualuo to be passed on to the man. I hope you will like this gift from me. Despite the smile reaching deep into her very eyes, Bai Yan's attitude gave no illusion it was very cold and dangerous. Frowning at the strange behavior, Zhang Feiyang carefully received the item and looked over the prescribed page meant for him. Only one glance, that's all it took to turn that smug expression into a ghastly white. It's all the crimes he's committed over the years, to the point where even his mistresses are included too. It's common to find wealthy individuals to take in numerous concubines to satisfy their needs. However, it was different for Zhang Feiyang because he needs his main wife as support to maintain his current status. Without that, it's a given that disaster will befall him in an instant. You. Nervously looking up, the man could hardly keep his voice stable. How could you know all this? Bai Yan laughed at the foolishness of that question. In this world, there is nothing I wouldn't know, especially for common folks like you. Also, I'm fully aware of why all of you would dare barge into my home. I'll say this now, keep trying and I will publicize everything in that booklet. Shaking right down to his core, Zhang Feiyang no longer had the nerve to even talk back anymore. We will leave. Hold it. The harsh hollering cry causes the man to freeze on the spot. Miss Bai Yan, I'm already willing to leave. What else do you want? I only want to know who is urging all of you to come make trouble for me. Bai Yan gave no effort in trying to hide that sneer. That's pretty much a given. It's one thing if no one knew her current influence and power, but to still come after she went public. There's no way she will believe it's not orchestrated in advance. Becoming even uglier in his face, the man plays dumb in the end. I don't know what you are talking about. Is that so? Chuckling at their foolishness, it seems you people won't learn until the very end. Hualuo, go publish everything in that booklet. I want the world to know how vile and disgusting these people are. From the very beginning of Chu Yi running off to make trouble, Bai Yan had already known these people would come seek her out. However, that doesn't mean she will just sit idly by and take it. Rest assured, mistress, I will do it well. Revealing an enchanting smile, Hualuo had a deploring look in her eyes. These people really can't see their end until their coffin is in their face. Wait. Seeing how the woman was ready to carry out the command, Zhang Feiyang finally caved. In his urgency, he blurts out the truth. I'll say it. It's His Highness the Crown Prince. Chapter 239, Blackmailing Failure. Crown Prince, Nangong Yi. Bai Yan's was smiling. What is Nangong Yi's purpose? Miss Bai Yan, going stiff in his face, His Highness wanted me to make trouble for you so he can come in at the right moment to help you. This way you will forget about the past grudges and be grateful to him. As for demanding the Dan pills, it's my own personal decision. Nangong Yi's plan was very beautiful, yet he seems to have forgotten Bai Yan would never bother to have these people in her eyes considering her current status. Feeling the increasingly heavy atmosphere in the hall, those royalties and nobles who came with Zhang Feiyang are all starting to get anxious. Miss Bai Yan, the deal he did with the Crown Prince does not include us in it. We only came because Zhang Feiyang sought us out last night. Yeah, that's right. I initially didn't want to come either, but he kept insisting that you won't be able to punish that many of us. He also justified it by saying we're in the right. From the very beginning, these people never wanted to come due to Bai Yan's status as the Flower Brothers owner. But after repeated promises and guarantees, they in the end succumbed to the seduction of greed. Sadly for them, regret was already too late now. As angry and irritated as Zhang Feiyang was in how quickly these people threw him out into the fire pit, he couldn't refute it because it's all true. Is that right? Bai Yan grinned. As far as I know, everyone who were attacked by Chu Yi had at some point denounced me behind my back. Why should you people get to claim you are in the right? Flushing red at the statement, these people were all too ashamed to refute her words. They knew it's true. Inhaling deeply, Zhang Feiyang steadies himself before speaking again. I've said all that I have to. Can I leave now then? Looking at how much sweat was covering that nervous face, Bai Yan suddenly had the urge to laugh aloud in mockery. So you people think you can just waltz in my place and leave as you like? Then what do you want of us? Since all of you are here, then you people might as well leave behind something of value. Crossing her legs, Bai Yan appears to be very leisure in her posture on the chair. Hand over your belongings. If the value of your possessions can meet my demand, then you are free to go. However, for those who can't meet it, then feel free to have your family come instead to redeem yourself." Going red from outrage, Zhang Fei Yang's very voice was trembling. "Don't you think this is a tad excessive?" "Excessive?" Bai Yan cocks a condescending sneer. "Wouldn't you people be blackmailing me instead if I wasn't the owner of the flower brothel? Enough of your excuses. Hualuo, go search 'em for me. Those who can pay is free to leave, and those who can't is to stay until their family comes." Looking at the charming woman slowly encroaching on himself, Zhang Fei Yang finally loses it and went on the offensive. "Bai Yan, are you not afraid of offending His Highness by doing this?" Chuckling at that question, "Instead of asking me that, you should be asking him." "You." Shaky in his pointing finger, Zhang Fei Yan almost couldn't believe his ears. "Don't forget the royal grandson is worshipped by the animals of this world. Sooner or later, he will overtake everything and be the ruler here. By then, you won't even be able to plead under his feet." Not flinching in the least, Bai Yan made a smirk instead. "If I'm not mistaken, that son of his had only stepped onto the path of cultivation, a practitioner of the lowest kind. So tell me, what can someone like that do to threaten me in the future?" In reality, Mangong Lin's talent wasn't bad at all. Just that due to his doting parents, the child never had the need to train, thus turning him into the useless fat kid that he was now. Chapter 240, You're more troublesome. That is only because the royal grandson's talent still hasn't emerged yet. He's a man destined to rule because the animals worship him. You and your son can only look up to him from below in this lifetime. Boom. As soon as Zhang Fei Yang finished spouting his nonsense, Hualuo had already taken the liberty of sending him flying backwards with a whirlwind kick of her own. Because of that, a good number of the man's teeth had fallen out in the crash, thus leaving him in a state where blood continues to spew out of that mouth. Not flinching at all, Bai Yan narrows in on the bastard who dares to provoke her. Everyone else is free to leave once they pay the ransom money. However, you there on the floor, you have lost that privilege. Hualuo, go publish everything we have on Lord Zhang so the world can learn of his crimes. Zhang Fei Yan truly regrets it now. He only said all that because he didn't want to hand over his storage bag, not to infuriate the woman to the point where he's now ruined. Seriously, the fault can only lie with this foolish man. Being the weary type, Zhang Fei Yang had the habit of always keeping his precious valuables on his body. Only like that will he be at ease. Unfortunately for him, his precaution had turned into his downfall today. "Yes, mistress." Mocking the man with her gaze, Hualuo made sure the person understood how foolish he was with that sentence. "Should I also go to the crown prince's estate to give the person a little lesson?" Breaking out into a laugh, Bai Yan had other ideas in mind. "There's no need for that at the moment. I have something else in mind." In the past few years that Nangong Yi had used his son many times over to fool the world. For that, it's time he paid the price. With the last of her order given to Hualuo, Bai Yan was ready to return to her study room when her attention was caught by the two hidden figures hiding behind herself. "Come out." Not far away, two young girls meekly walked out to face her. One was enchantingly beautiful, the other charmingly lovely. They were Xuanhuan and Chu Yi. Two different kinds of beauty, but with the same kind of shock factor. Sister-in-law. The two troublemaker greeted Bai Yan in unison. Based on the timid attitude, they clearly knew about the trouble they've caused today. Sister-in-law, fiddling with her fingers, Xuanhuan was very nervous. "Did I cause you trouble?" Despite her aggrieved look, the girl's heart was extremely resentful. Of course, the resentment wasn't directed at Bai Yan, it's at those humans who would dare blame everything on her sister-in-law. Even worse, if this becomes known to her brother, only endless pain and suffering will await her poor soul. Showing a harmless smile, Bai Yan was oddly calm here. "Compared to them, I find the both of you more troubling." Gasping at that remark, Xuanhuan really wanted to refute the claim. Sadly, she knew it was the fact. "Sister-in-law, I think I heard them talking about something like animals bowing in worship. Can you explain it more details to me?" This time it wasn't Bai Yan who answered her question, it was Chu Yiyi using that infuriated voice of hers. 5 years ago when Nangong Yi's son was born, the animals of this world were all bowing towards this direction. Then for some unknown reason, rumors started to spread about that child being the destined one to receive the blessing of the world. If not for that rumor, how can Nangong Yi become the crown prince with his ability? Now this was quite the news for the girl. Popping her mouth until an egg could be stuffed in there, Dai Xuanhuan became flabbergasted at the huge mess up. Destined child of the animals. Shouldn't that be Xiakan instead? When did that become Nangong Yi's son? She too also saw the bowing scene over at the demon realm that year. According to the state teacher, it was to welcome her nephew Bai Xiakan into this world. When did my old bro have a second son with another woman? Can't be right. End of the chapter. Adorable treasured fox divine doctor mother overturning the heavens, will be read in 10 chapters for every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.